Welcome back, live streamers. And we're here joined by Grayson Shor, which, by the way, when we were prepping, I accidentally called you Gray Shore. So that's
Gray Shore.
yeah.
Sounds more
like a handle.
like a handle. Yeah, I'll take
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
That's
That's nice.
Yeah, and your claim to fame, which we just learned, is that you have met Bill Nye twice, and you look like his vibe right now.
I'm hiding all the facts and figures up there. I was just saying before we started the live stream that I met him twice in an elevator in D.C., and he saw my hair, I saw his hair, and we nodded at each other, and we're like, I see you.
Yeah, well, yeah. I love that. And you're a circular economy fellow now, no longer in university.
That's right.
At the New York Climate Exchange, even though I know you live in Seattle, so you're
That's
doing
right.
this cross country. Sorry, don't mean to blow you up. But you're a battery expert, and you have been, and wanted to kick us off by just asking, what's going on with critical materials and minerals? What do we need to know about America and our reliance on these materials? And let's talk about the intersection of that, EV, batteries, and circular economy.
Dang. All right. Well, how
Let's
much
go.
time do we have? That's a huge
not that
question.
long.
All right, I know, right? Well, all right. So I came in proper, I guess, Bill Nye fashion. I came with my facts and figures here, printed out on my many pages, but to share some key data points on that I think are important for folks to know. So taking it from primarily U.S. perspective, right? U.S. domestic, looking internationally. So the U.S. is 100% import reliant for 12 out of 50 critical minerals and 50% import reliant for another 29. And China is the top producer for 29 of these 50 critical minerals. So the United States, not a lot of people know this, is the second largest producer of rare earth elements. And we say, okay, well, we hear all this stuff, but we don't have enough of these critical minerals in the U.S. for batteries, whatever else it might be. The issue is that we're producing or mining some of the materials here. We're exporting them over to China for processing. We don't have a strong processing industry here in the United States. Just to throw an idea out there as well, how long would you guess it takes to bring a new mine online in the United States? How many years would you say?
20?
Ooh, I was going to
Okay,
go
20?
3 to 4.
Okay.
All right, so we got 3 to 4 and 20. This is I always hear folks on the other side of the spectrum. 29 on average, right? Second worst in the world.
This is from a regulatory perspective.
This is from a regulatory perspective. Exactly. There's so many rules and regulations we need to do, and a lot of them are well-intended. They're well-intended because we need to do those for protecting the environment, ensuring communities not being impacted.
Yes.
But the impact of some of these things have been that it takes forever to bring a mine online, and it's also really expensive. So a similar thing has taken place for processing facilities for these critical minerals, and that's why we've seen that the U.S. has reduced its prowess in this industry and shipped a lot of that material overseas. And that's also, I would say, to get on the battery side, why we see a majority of the manufacturing of batteries taking place today in China and not in the United States.
So because of all of this, what does this mean for United States manufacturing and kind of our state of play as we have more EVs being used here and we have material kind of within our boundaries? What does that mean for us?
Totally. So I would say one of the coolest things about the EV explosion that we're seeing and the massive increase in EVs here in the United States, I think it was a couple million a few years back in 2020, and then we had a 25% increase in EV sales just last year. I think we produced, gosh, I want to make sure I get the numbers right here. I know it's somewhere in these many lists here, but we produced an immense amount of EVs here in the United States last year, and then we're importing an immense amount too. What I think is wonderful about this is that EV batteries are essentially concentrated ore. So when you have an end-of-life EV battery, you have more of the materials that that are at certain concentrations than you might have if you were having to go mine that material elsewhere. So for the companies that are focusing today on second life for EV batteries or seeing these things not as waste but actually as a potential to harvest for new material, I think there's an immense amount of value. Actually, by 2030, I believe it is, 2033, the Second Life EV battery industry is going to be worth $7 billion. I think it's around $2 or $3 billion today, so it's increasing.
Yeah, and you don't have to wait 29 years
No.
to get the material out of that battery.
Exactly.
And how is I'm imagining the tariff talk is making this more of a momentum driver to have more processing, more recycling here in the United States. Are you seeing that?
Totally. So there's a few quick points I want to say on this one. if I could stop the tariffs, like I kind of would. I understand the why we're trying to do them, is we want to build domestic manufacturing here. But the reality is, like what we were just talking about, the 29 years, we don't have that yet. We need to make our industry here robust first before we can start cutting ourselves off at the knees. Some examples of the impacts of tariffs: we have one nickel mine here in the United States that's operating today. That material is shipped over to Canada for processing, and then that processed material is shipped back to the United States. It's one nickel mine. We have, I think it's the only rare earth element mine in the United States that just is reopening in California, in the Mojave Desert, the Mountain Pass mine. The material, once that gets fully up and running, the material that's going to be pulling out from the ground is going to be about 1 year's worth of operation, will be equivalent to 1 day's worth of operation from China. And the last thing I wanted to say too is that this conversation wouldn't be complete without talking about AI and chips and things of that nature. And so I just say that according to the USGS, it is estimated that a 30% supply disruption of gallium is one of the key minerals that go into the components you'd see in a data center and AI and what have you, that could cause a $602 billion decline in U.S. economic output, amounting to a 2.1% loss of GDP. So
Where's that from?
this is from USGS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have these massive potentials of disrupting our economy by putting these tariffs on reducing our supply, our ability to import these materials from primarily China.
And so now, as we wrap up our time together, if you had a magic wand and could make one of your wishes come true, what would you change about the battery, critical mineral space, EV space right now?
So I'll channel my Bill Nye here and just see which hair to pull from. I would say I would love to see a day where the minerals industry, the consumer electronics industry, is as focused on second life as it is focused on first life. And I'm perpetually blown away by the fact that lead acid batteries, the battery that's in a traditional car, is the most recycled consumer product in the US and the world. So there's been a system that's been created to capture this material and put it back into the system. I think that if we can do that for batteries, we can do that for minerals, the potential is immense. And a way to do that, I think, would be something through creating a national extended producer responsibility scheme, which fortunately we're starting to see the EPA look into right now, but we have a disjunct amount of state-by-state EPR schemes. So I'd love to see those come together.
State versus federal. Got to make them cooperate. Well, thank you, Grayson
Thank
/
you both.
Gray Shor, for joining us. We so appreciate it, and we hope we learned more stuff from you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me both. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Grayson.
Thanks, everyone.